The bear watched the village getting ready. He didn't know what they were getting ready for, but it must have been something very important. There was lots of activities at the centre. A group of men and women had been working hard. They're making small flags which were joined together and hung from the poles in the street. The people who worked at the centre were busy cleaning and cutting grass and making the village look even more prettier than it normally was.
He sat in the woods behind the post office and watched the activity in the park. Whatever was happening today. Vehicles came into the park and new things started to appear.
There was a group of men all dressed the same who erected a huge building which the boys and girls went into at one end and weaved their way through the building and out the other side. It reminded him of running through the dense forest to avoid being seen one day. But the boys and girls were laughing and enjoying what they were doing. He later learned from Billy that these men were soldiers.
Soon lots of people were in the park and in the community centre. Some of them started to move onto the main road and down towards the canal. The bear quickly moved along the woods behind the houses, crossed the road at the skittery lane and made his way behind the bowling green, then up the field towards Turney Hill. From there, he could see down to the canal.
He watched in wonder. There was lots of people and cars. The cars had flashing lights. The people lined either side of the road.
Then a young lady stood in the middle of the road and was presented with something very special, a baton. The bear knew that this baton the young lady had been given was the reason for the special day. The young lady carried the baton up the road towards the pub. The bear was now on top of the rocks behind the pub and had a perfect view of what was going on.
Then a group of men dressed like he had never seen before joined the group. These men had cloths made of animal skins and metal and carried banners. They looked as though they came from a different time. The strangely dressed men walked behind the young lady as if protecting her, and they walked with their precious baton to the community centre. It was then passed to a gentleman who stood in front of the community centre. There were people queued to stand beside him and hold the baton.
The bear watched from the side of the chapel as people and vehicles came and went, and the baton eventually left the village to continue on its journey. As the crowd was starting to disappear, the bear noticed a young boy holding his grand's hand. The boy turned and looked straight at the bear. The boy raised his hand and waved to him. The bear knew that this boy was special in the same way that Bobby and Billy were.
The bear could communicate with them by reading their thoughts, and they could do the same. The boy could do this as well. The bear raised his paw and waved to the boy. The boy smiled.
Later that night, there was a party in the community centre. There were adults and children, and everyone was celebrating after such a special day. Halfway through the party, the young boy and his gran came to speak to the storyteller. The boy, whose name was Lee, spoke to the storyteller about the stories his gran told him about the Coachie Bear. The storyteller knew that Lee
was a true believer and told him things about the bear and how he had met him. Lee gave the storyteller a piece of cake and asked him to give it to the bear and the next time he met him.
The next morning, the storyteller took the piece of cake to the place where he met the bear. The bear took the cake, sniffed it, and ate it in one gulp. The bear then looked at the storyteller and told him through his thoughts to thank Lee and to tell him that one day they may meet again.
In the woods around our village, there lives a big brown bear. Not many people see him, but I know that he is there. He watches over everyone when they're asleep in bed. When I meet him in the morning, he reads the thoughts inside my head. His den is up the Coachie. I know because I've been there. He's our village guardian angel. He is the Coachie Bear.
And the woods around our village there lives a big brown bear. Not many people see him, but I know that he's there. He watches over everyone when they're asleep in bed.